Hey, how are you? All right, we're live. And it was this kind of suggestion from Norica that I get from the microphone, get outside of the microphone, and then just go ahead and put this on video too, because some people don't want to listen to the podcast. They just want to listen or watch the video because maybe I need to like go, oh, okay, this is the one I'm talking about. Or, yeah, it's going to bounce around. Sorry. How about that one? That's the one you need to talk about, or something like that. And then because people want to go to the website, www.beyondourcomprehension.com. That's www.beyondourcomprehension.com. And because it says videos and podcasts, well, wait, where's the video? Okay. Yeah, valid. Totally valid. Yeah, you got me. All right. So, what are we talking about today? So, we're just going to continue on with nutrition. Basically, that's part two. And nutrition is who we have here. Oh, you can chat if you want to. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, chat if you want to. You can do top chat if you want. No worries. Go ahead. I'm going to keep going. So if you don't want to watch this one, but you want to go to the podcast on BeyondOurComprehension.com, you can go to number 8. Number 8 is the first part in the nutrition series, and that was reading Merck. I believe we made it to like maybe page 12. I think we're at page 12, and we're going to go over just kind of some physical measurements and stuff like that, right? When we're just continuing on the nutritional behaviors. But this is the vitality series. So that's vitality equals mortality minus morbidity. And then sorry, I was just looking for, go to the first series. You could probably go to number 6. If you can't go to number 6, could go to number, I think it's 4. You'll see it there. And I think I took pictures of the first couple of pages, and then you'll just have to go through the podcast and write it down as you get it. There's nothing else I can do about it. But thank you so much. Please like, subscribe, visit BeyondOurComprehension.com. Make sure that you go to Norica on camera. Follow her, Norica Clem, on TikTok, and Norica Clem on Twitter. But fantastic videos, especially if you are curious and you want some more information on male to female transgender and the transformation there. So we're talking about basically did I start? All right, hold on just a second, because now this will be interesting. Now I'm going to start recording here, and we'll be recording on both. If it works, hopefully it works. If not, you'll just be seeing a video of me here, and the video of me here doesn't even have sound, but that's okay. All right, so this is the Merck manual, and it's a 17th edition, Centennial edition, and we're going to go back over here to page, I believe it's page 13. And 13 is the one that I crossed out. I crossed it out because it has the food pyramid on there, and you don't want to be confusing any of that. But the last thing that we talked about, this is number 9, basically. And I don't even know if I wrote that in there. I probably should have, but this is number 9. And we finished over nutritional information for the public, over to nutrition and clinical medicine. And basically what we're going to go on right now this is page 12. And the bottom of page 12 is appraisal of nutritional status, right? And so let's just talk about that. It reads, the appraisal of nutritional status should be part of every general health evaluation, including history, physical examination, and selected laboratory tests. Pertinent issues may be rate of growth and development in infants and children, body composition in children and adults, or evidence of specific deficiencies or excesses of essential nutrients in any patient. And then it goes on to basically uh, the nutritional history is inevitably intertwined in the clinical medical history, which can often provide clues to the nature of the nutritional disease. For instance, a history of gastrointestinal bleeding can account for iron deficiency anemia. Treatment of acne with vitamin A can lead to vitamin A toxicity manifested by headache, nausea, and diplopia. And an enlarged thyroid gland may be due to iodine deficiency. Conditions that predispose to nutritional disease include gross underweight, gross overweight, recent weight loss, alcoholism, malabsorption, hyperthyroidism, protracted fever, sepsis, fat diets, drug usage, and psychotic or psychiatric disorders. How about we just go ahead, right? And that was a lot. That's a lot. Did you hear all those? All those conditions that can predispose you, right? In your mortality, right? That can predispose you just like in your genes with having, the inability to add on weight or you're just grossly overweight because you have this inability to for your metabolism to burn it. You've got uh unexplained weight loss, or you're alcoholic. You've got malabsorption issues because of other issues, hyperthyroidism or protracted of a fever, right? When you're in a fever, your metabolism is suffering, your diet is suffering. If you're sepsis, if you had fad diets, right? Fad diets, oh, everybody puts keto on everything little thing, right? It's a marketing term now, right? Drug usage and psychiatric disorders can all contribute to just these conditions which predispose, as the Merck says here. Now, diet history taking should include a 24-hour recall of foods eaten and a food frequency questionnaire that asks about foods or food groups frequently consumed, right? Think about that. How many times do you at the end of the week, right, when you're sitting down with your checkbook or you're going through all the purchases that you did on Apple Pay, and you're like, are you sure where did all my money go? Golly. And, you're looking at, oh yeah, I bought this, I bought that, I bought this, I bought that. I mean, it all adds up. And you're doing this reconciliation of all your financials, and or doing a reconciliation of all your best picks for Instagram. How many times do you do a reconciliation at the end of the week where you go over just the diet of what you've consumed? More detailed information may be obtained from a food diary in which the patient records what is eaten during a 3-day period, or a weighed ad libitum diet in which food is selected by the patient and weighed each day for 3 days to a week. The last method is most accurate and is usually reserved for clinical research. But if you know of others like weight loss or Weight Watchers, or how all that goes, that clinical research, right? That's kind of what you do, right? That's kind of the whole point of talking about the Vitality series, is for you to actually take the information from the Merck and Tabers, and so that way you can put it together like I had to do, and I'm still doing it, and we still make corrections to it. But that way, at least it gives you something that you can enjoy, right? Because that's the hardest thing is saying, oh, well, I got to go on this diet, I got to go on that diet. No, you have a lot of choices. You can mix and match. You can put a whole wide range into there. You can go to BeyondOurComprehension.com and listen to a lot of the podcasts. And if you want to, there's a section there where you can see the video to it's the prequel to this one, right? Where we just get to joke a lot. But I actually broke down a lot of the protein intake and a lot of the different stuff that I didn't want to show here because I don't want to promote products here. I just want to promote the information that's coming right from the Merck manual and the Tabors. Physical examination. The physical examination can provide clues to nutritional disease. Any body system can be affected by a nutritional disease. For example, the central nervous system is affected by pellagra, beriberi, peroxidine deficiencies or excess, and vitamin B12 deficiency. Taste and smell are affected by zinc deficiency. Hypertension, diabetes, and coronary artery disease are associated with obesity. The gastrointestinal system can be injured by malnutrition and alcoholism. The oral cavity, lips, tongue, teeth, gums, and buccal mucosa affected by vitamin B complex deficiency and scurvy. The effects of malnutrition on the skin can include rashes, let me get this right, petechial hemorrhages, ecchymosis, pigmentation, edema, and dryness, bones and rickets, osteomalacia, scurvy. Now we're going to, and they do have a table here. It's on page 14, table 1-5 body ranges, and I like books. Yeah, you could look. I like books. I like holding it. I want to take it with me. I want to be able to read it while I don't have to charge it, right? Anthropometric measurements. Anthropometric measurements, and this is at the bottom of 14. Generally, height and weight are measurements as part of the physical examination. Other anthropometric, I'll just highlight prometric, anthropometric measurements include skin fold thickness and mid-arm circumference, right? Skin fold thickness and mid-arm circumference. Height and weight are critical to an estimation of desirable weight and body proportions. The range of desirable weights, which are approximately equal to the range of desirable weights, which are approximately equal to usual weights at the age of 25. So whatever you are at the age of 25 is your desirable weight shown in table 1.5. And you can just make sure that that's probably not on any of your recollection because I'm not. No, because at 25, you're running in the military, you're doing all that. No. All right. So the body mass index, the BMI, weight per kilogram, right, divided by the height or metered square, is a guide to the desirable body composition. Values in greater than 27 equal obese. 25 to 27 is overweight. 20 to 25 is normal. 18 to 20 is thin, and less than 18 is undernourished. Values less than 12 are incompatible with life. Values less than 12 are incompatible with life. Right? That's torture. The generally accepted normal BMI range corresponds to the range of desirable weights in table standards for growth and weight gain of infants, children, and teenagers are discussed in Growth and Physical Development, Chapter 256, Normal Growth and Development 275. You can skip across to wherever you need to go. Distribution of body fat is also important. In men and women, fat distribution, predominantly in the upper body of the abdomen and shoulders, is more closely associated with cardiovascular or cerebral vascular disease, hypertension, and diabetes mellitus than is in the lower body, the hips and the legs. tricep skin fold, or the TSF, provides an estimated of fat stores. About 50% of the average person's adipose tissue is beneath the skin. The skin fold, which consists of a double layer of skin and subcutaneous fat, is measured with a special skin fold caliper, right? I don't see that I put, you really need a, you can just go ahead and just, come back here and go, oh, there's all those fat stores, right? And the bigger you got there's a big one there, huh? Right? You're like, whoa. You're like, wow, look at all that fat, right? Subscapular, lower thoracic, iliac, and abdominal sites can be used, but the deltoid triceps is used most often because it is easily accessible and usually is free of any edema. The triceps skin fold varies from half or 0.5 to 2.5 centimeter average, or 1.2 centimeter in healthy adult males, and from 1 to 3 centimeters average in healthy adult females. Of patients whose TSF 50% of the National Health and Nutritional Examine Surveys 1 and 2 standards considered to have depleted body fat stores. One whose TSF is 100% above the standard is considered to be obese. The mid upper arm muscle area is used to estimate lean body mass. It is derived from the tricep skin fold and the mid arm circumference, for which is measured at the same site of the TSF. With the patient's right arm, and the average mid arm circumference is around 32 plus or minus 5 centimeters for males and 28 for females. The formula for calculating the mid upper arm muscle area is the mid arm circumference minus 3.14 times the tricep skin fold in centimeters, all of that squared, divided by 4 pi, minus 10 for males, or minus 6.5 for females. And that formula you should do yourself. Do that formula, right? It's on page 15. Let's do that formula. And then when we come back in the reality of that and we share that, right, we'll know. This formula corrects the upper arm area for fat and bone. Average values for the mid-arm muscle area are 54 plus or minus 11 centimeters squared for males and 30 plus or minus centimeters squared for females. A value of 35% below the standard, depending on an age, indicates a depletion of the lean body mass. See table 2.4. That's a lot of information there, I know. But in order to get to the laboratory tests used to evaluate nutritional standards, we got to blow through these anthropometric measurements, right? That's just what we got to do. It's a long haul. We're only on page 15. Imaging procedures and laboratory tests. Imaging procedures and biochemical laboratory tests are useful in appraising the nutritional status. X-rays of the thoracic and the skeleton are used to determine cardiopulmonary function and bone density. Gastrointestinal disturbances secondary to the malnutrition can be studied radiographically with a contrast medium. CT and MRI are useful in viewing soft tissues. Some of the laboratory tests used to evaluate nutritional status are complete blood count, including hematocrit, hemoglobin, red blood cell count, red cell indexes, white blood cell, lymphocytes, and differential count. 2, plasma proteins, including albumin, globulin, prealbumin, transferrin, and retinol binding protein. 3, plasma nitrogen, bune, creatine, uric acid. 4, plasma lipids, including total cholesterol, triglycerides, LDL, or low density lipids cholesterol, and high density lipid cholesterol. Number 5, plasma electrolytes, sodium, potassium, chloride, magnesium, calcium, hydrogen phosphoride, and bicarbonate, basically. Vitamins and vitamin-dependent substances, vitamin A, E, D3, vitamin K, vitamin C, folate, vitamin B12 in plasma, thiamine, riboflavin, and N-methylcholinamide in urine, and transketolase and glutathione reductase in red blood cells. Number 7, minerals like iron, zinc, copper, and magnesium in plasma, sodium, zinc, copper, magnesium, and phosphorus in urine. Now, see, when I say a lot of this stuff, are you thinking about those supplements? You're like, am I getting enough zinc? Am I getting that right? I mean, that's hopefully the reason I'm going through this, right? And look at your electrolytes, right? You're getting your proper amount of your magnesium and your calcium and your bicarbonate, your sodium, your potassium, your chloride, right? Your phosphorus, and your vitamin A, your E, your K, folate, vitamin, all these things, right? All these things they test for. All these things are the laboratory tests to evaluate your nutritional status. So don't you think that they should be added into your nutritional diet? Spend a little time there. Think about that. Let's think. Let's just remiss there. I mean, if they're testing for it, should I make sure I have it in my diet if they're testing for it? If they could, I mean, if they're testing for it, I mean, if it's important enough they have a test for it, should it be important enough that I put it in my diet? All right, 8, urinary nitrogen, urea, creatine, uric acid, hydroxyproline, 3-methylhistidine. And number 9 is skin tests for antigens to assess the cell-mediated immunity. Modern analytical instrumentation with high pressure. How about, like, is this better because I know you feel like I'm reading away from you, and it's rude. I know it's rude. So what if I'm like this, right? If I look down, I look up, I look down, look up, look down, look up. If I do it like that, hey, oh, nope, that video didn't load. So, all right. What I want to make sure is that I'm not cutting off the microphone so you can still hear. All right. So modern analytical instrumentation with high pressure liquid chromatography, radioimmunoassay of enzymes, or flame photometry has greatly improved the sensitivity and specificity of biochemical tests of nutritional status. Using high pressure liquid chromatography, HPLC, right? Radioimmunoassay of enzymes, or flame photometry has greatly improved the sensitivity and specificity of biochemical tests of nutritional status. Measuring plasma levels of urinary excretion of proteins, lipids, electrolytes, trace minerals, and vitamins can provide evidence about body stores of these nutrients. Measuring plasma levels or urinary, but you didn't know that you're peeing out your fats, your proteins. Of course. Nutrient-dependent enzymatic tests can be applied to both red and white blood cells, and immune status can be appraised by determining lymphocyte counts, immunoglobulin levels, and response of lymphocytes to mitogens, and by performing skin tests. You can see that in Table 166, all 1 through 9 of those laboratory tests used to evaluate nutritional status there. It's awesome. It's awesome. Number 7, Table 7. This is on page 16 now in Nutritional Disorders, is Section 1. Still Chapter 1 of Nutritional General Considerations. This is still the general. And we don't get done till general. Still in general? Oh, we're almost at chapter 2. We're almost at chapter 2. That's kind of cool, right? I don't have to hold you for long. You're not wringing your health here. All right. So look at your ideal weight and percentage, then your serum albumin in grams per deciliter, milligrams per deciliter, lymphocyte count, delayed hypersensitivity index qualities, the amount of induration elicited by skin testing with a common antigen, such as those derived from the Canidia species or trichophyton species. Induration, great, right? Nutritional support, oral supplementation. Oral supplementation with energy and protein-rich anorexia for those with chronic inflammatory disease or malignancies. In practice, commercial products provide a more reliable and acceptable method of supplementation than table foods. In practice, commercial products provide a more reliable and acceptable method of supplementation than table foods. That's a huge statement right there. It's a huge statement because what it indicates is just that bioavailability, right? That BV value that we kind of touched on in the earlier part of the Merck manual. And that bioavailability value is like you chew on a piece of steak, but you chew on it, right? You chew on it, and then it comes out in your stool, right? It comes out in your feces, but you don't go back in and measure how much it degraded, right? But the whole important part of that is to masticate and to chew and to get as much surface area available so that way the enzymes can work on it so you can get as much nutrition as possible. However, when your surgeries or your fever or whatever, or you've got a cold or whatever, and you're not getting that full diet because you don't feel well, or if you got a disease or a disability, what it says here, in the top right under nutritional support, right at in practice, right? And this is kind of the way it is, right? In practice, I can eat some red meat and I can get some iron. If I take a couple of iron supplements because I may take a medication that causes hemorrhagic anemia, right? Or bruising, right? Or like for your heart or anything like that, then you can go, well, I can get a guaranteed supply of that iron instead of trying to extract the iron from the bioavailability, right? And the percentage of the bioavailability that my body is able to extract from it is not as much or in the concentration it would be as it would be if the same as I'm taking that supplement of iron. And you can see table 1.8. And table 1.8 is basic daily requirements for total parenteral nutrition. Parenteral nutrition. Parenteral nutrition. Right? Parenteral nutrition. Your water intake. And this is like, some of this is like basically on the different kind of levels of requirements, or, you know, for a person who is not well, but you need to make sure that they get the minimums in, right? They're not well, but you got to make sure they got the minimums in, right? That's why, you know, I was listening to one lecture of a wound doctor, and he was like, if they'll eat eggs, give them eggs. If they eat eggs, give them eggs. It'll make sure that they've got that that peri-internal nutrition. All right. This is awesome. So enteral nutrition, enteral tube nutrition may be used in patients with a functioning gastrointestinal tract to supplement oral feeding or to replace it entirely. The latter is indicated for patients who require intensive protein or calorie support and who are unable or unwilling to take oral supplementation. Enteral nutrition is safer and cheaper than TPN and is the preferred route when the integrity of the gastrointestinal tract is preserved. I don't know if we got a definition for TPN there, did we? Trying to see where that one came from. I don't have that yet. Oh, total parenteral nutrition. There we go. TPN. TPN supplies all of the patient's daily nutritional requirements, right? And that's where we came from, that table 1.8. We looked at that, and that was the basic daily requirements for total. There's where TPN comes. Total parenteral nutrition. General indications include prolonged anorexia, severe protein energy malnutrition, trauma to the head and neck, or neurological disorders preventing satisfactory oral feeding, coma or depressed mental state, hepatic failure, and serious illnesses, for example, burns, in which the metabolic requirements are high. Specific indications may include preparation of the bowel for surgery in seriously ill or malnourished patients, closure of the enterocutaneous fistulas, small bowel adaptation after massive intestinal resection, and disorders associated with malabsorption, such as Crohn's disease. The nutrient mixture is instilled directly into or just proximal to the upper end of the small bowel through the nasogastric or nasoduodenal tube, or less commonly through a stoma, gastrostomy, or jejunectomy, or gasostomy. The choice of route depends on an individual's circumstances, but availability of a variety of small caliber soft tubes for nasogastric and nasoduodenal feeding has made these routes preferable. It's important to understand nutrition and its general consideration as it goes in there for nutritional support. So that way you go, I don't want this to happen to me. I don't want this to happen to me. Let me go ahead and put together my understanding of this and be able to put this together to where I'm not causing a morbidity factor to where somebody's got to decide the route of my nutrition for me. Sometimes you don't have a choice. Sometimes it's just the part of the mortality given in your genes in people, but we don't want to contribute to that point. I mean, our morbidity. We don't want that factor number to be so negative, so large that it overwhelms the mortality and then it just crashes, and before you know it, you're like that 12%, right? Incompatible with life. The nutrient mixture is instilled directly into or just proximal to the upper end of the. Oh, we did that one, huh? In addition to high energy, high protein supplements, elemental or chemical defined diets. Ooh, look at that. Elemental, chemically defined diets are frequently given enterally. They provide essential nutrients in a readily assimilated form, require little or no active digestion, have minimal residue. Components of selected elemental diets are listed in Table 8.1. and you can go over to the 8 one. It's just not on 17, but it's on 20 actually. And then it lists what you're looking at, all those amino acids, the minerals, the vitamins there, and that's kind of what you're looking at and go, oh, okay. I mean, these are all things that, are tested for and stuff. So, it's just that point that it should be important into the diet. It should be something that's, just, and it's not this where it's so in depth. It's like, wow, how much nutrition? No, it's just like, hey, maybe take a supplement. Hey, what's wrong with that? This is kind of just, hey, just have accountability with the scale. Look at me on a daily basis. I'm doing it. All right, where are we at here? Complications of internal feeding are usually neither common nor serious and can be overcome with careful monitoring. Let's go over here to peri-internal nutrition is administered IV. Partial peri-internal nutrition supplies only part of the patient's daily nutritional requirements, supplementing oral intake. Many hospitals patients receive dextrose or amino acid solutions by this method, a part of the routine care. And then you go into the total, right? Severely malnourished people, and you're like, oh, this is quite a bit, right? If you have to take care of the basic requirements, right, then you need 30 to 40 milliliters per kilogram of that person per day, right? And so let's see, what are you doing? All right, so you're talking, let's say a person is 220 or so, then they'd be what, 100 kilograms. So if they were, let's say if they were 100 kilograms, then they would need between 3,000 and 4,000 milliliters, or basically 3 to 4 liters per day. And that's kind of right, because I was champion where it would be a liter for every 50 pounds, right? A liter for every 50 pounds. I'll write that in there. Because H2O is part of your diet, yo. H2O is part of your diet, yo. So this is at the bottom of 17 on the Merck manual, right? Basic requirements, and it goes through, right? Water requirements, energy requirements, energy expenditure, depending on what it is, right? And depending on your degree of catabolism, the degree of breakdown needed based on, your disability or injury there. And these requirements, those for vitamins and minerals in adults patients, are summarized in table 1.9, which is kind of cool, right? Where were we? Because TPN was there we go. 1.8, selected commercially available formula diets. Yeah, this is what I like, right? Because this is nice to go ahead and look at the different brands and then go, what are in those, right? Like Complete. If you look at Complete, it's a beef puree, non-fat, dry milk, right? And that's just protein source. So in Complete, it's a beef puree and non-fat dry milk. And Cystical, it's non-fat milk and whole milk. And Isocal liquid, it's calcium and sodium caseinates, soy protein isolate. And sure, that's your calcium and sodium caseinates. And then you have your soy protein isolate. And then if you look at your elementals like aminate, essential amino acid, and histidine, and then trabisorb, amino acids, Tramacal, amino acids, branch chain essentials, right? And what it does is it just gives you a great overall breakdown where you can see, hey, if you need to, there's nothing wrong with it, right? I know when we were going through the testing, I was like, hey, I'm gonna go to Walgreens. I'm just gonna pick up that, that like 4 gram sugar, the low sugar, whatever the boost, right? Because then it's just like, boom, I need to get some of my essentials, right? And so it's a great one to go through where you can look at all the different ones and see what they have. So this is just, when you're severely hindered in your nutrition, you have to have nutritional support. And it doesn't mean that it has to be through a NG tube, right? Or it has to, be some a tube placed in the bowel. You could just say, hey, this is me at my life right now. I need to, to make sure I'm getting a supplement into, and this, maybe I want to start with, a liquid supplement that I have as an additional to my breakfast, because maybe you're someone who can't take a supplement because the levels and the multivitamins and stuff like that cause you, to be nauseous. That's totally understandable. Totally understandable. Absolutely. Children, yeah. See, children really require special nutrition. That's what's really most important. And that's why I had said before is like, nobody sends you out with your spiritual book, right? And then the Merck manual, or send you out with Tabers. Nobody just sends you off with the kid and go, hey, make sure you're following this for that infant, right? Make sure you're following this. So that way you have a detailed diet plan. So that way you have a role model, some kind of longevity in your generations that you're teaching them. No, we just, most of it just flying by their butts and just trying to figure out what we can do. And that's kind of just the way it comes, right? But when it comes to the Merck Manning, we're talking in the first one in nutrition and general considerations. If you don't take serious all the beginning of it, right, we were talking about in number 8, then when you come into part 2, if you don't take it and you have complications, then you have somebody who will be deciding your nutritional value for you, because it be based on such severe states, and you don't want that. You don't want that. You really don't. Life is hard enough. Life is hard enough for everybody. You don't, despite whatever your disability, I feel for you. I get this overwhelming presence sometime when the energy and the universe is just pushing back, and I get this little presence and feeling of somebody out there. It's just like, it's this and that, and they have some kind of of a disability. Now, if we keep going, right, you can read into, if you want to know about the monitoring of people that have that, right? Maybe you have a family member that has, a gastrointestinal tube, or you're worried about them, or they're going into the hospital and you wondered about that. You can read more of that in section, 1, nutritional disorders, and within the chapter 1, the nutrition and general considerations. Um, but if we go into page 21, which is kind of nice over here, is we get to see nutrient and drug interactions. And this is what's really important too, is that you need to know, a lot of us out there, you're on certain medications or so, and those certain medications, you're on because the rewards outweigh the risk, but all the medications we take all have some side effects. And so you want to make sure that your nutrition is par at par. I mean, you're hitting the long driver on your nutrition, right? You want to make sure it is. So that way you get the best foundation, right? To build your vitality, your life on, right? And so that's 21. Important nutrient drug interactions include diet effects on drug disposition, alter drug pharmacokinetics, and the nutritional deficiencies, drug-induced changes in appetite, and drug-induced malnutrition, right? That continues on a little bit more there in 301. So that's kind of cool there. Individual food components can enhance, retard, or decrease drug absorption. For example, tyramine, the component of cheese and potential vasoconstrictor, have. Did you know that? So eat some cheese and you get a little potential vasoconstrictor. May lead to a hypertensive crisis on patients who take monoamine monoxide inhibitors, MAOs, MOIs, right? So if you are on MOIs and you are out there and say, I'm going to have some pizza, I'm going to have this and this and this, wait. Cheese may not be your friend, right? High protein diets can enhance the rate of drug metabolism in part by stimulating the induction of cytochrome P450. Diets that alter the bacterial flora may markedly affect the overall metabolism of certain drugs, right? And that's important to know too, right? The volatility in the diet can affect the factor of the biome, the internal biome in the gut, right? And the flora there. And you want to make sure that you have the full components necessary to break down everything, because they all work in the cascade of having those bioavailability to your intestinal so your intestines can absorb it. Deficiency of such nutrients as calcium, magnesium, or zinc may impair drug metabolism. Energy and protein deficiencies reduce tissue levels of enzymes and may impair the responsive to drugs by reducing, as we turn the page over 22, by reducing absorption and causing liver dysfunction. Drug response may also be affected by impaired absorption due to changes in the gastrointestinal tract. Vitamin C deficiency is associated with decreased activity of drug metabolism enzymes. The frequency of adverse drug reactions in elderly may be related to low vitamin C status. How about that? Are your family members in the aging community? Are they taking their vitamin C daily, right? I remember Papa always had the Shackley's medicines out there, right? The Shackley medicines that were on the counter, and alfalfa pills of vitamin C. I mean, Nana made sure. Many drugs affect appetite, absorption, and tissue metabolism. That's in table 111. Certain drugs affect the mineral metabolism. Diuretics, especially thiazides and corticosteroids, can cause potassium depletion. Ooh, yeah, you ain't kidding. So can statins, which risks of digitalis-induced cardiac arrhythmias. Potassium depletion may also result from a regular use of purgatives. Cortisol, desoxycorticosterone, and aldosterone cause marked sodium and water retention. So if you're on certain ones, right, you can have a marked water retention, at least temporary retentions, much less with prednisolone will never, and the newer corticosteroid analogs. Sodium and water retention also occur with sodium and water retention also occur to estrogen, progesterone, oral contraceptives, and phenylbutazone. Sulfonylureas, phenylbutazones, cobalt, and lithium can impair the uptake or release of iodine by the thyroid. Oral contraceptives can lower plasma zinc and elevate copper. And prolonged use of corticosteroids can lead to osteoporosis. Vitamin metabolism is affected by certain drugs. Ethanol impairs the thiamine absorption in azonide, as is niacin and peroxidine antagonists. Ethanol and oral contraceptives inhibit folic acid absorption. Most patients receiving phenytoin and phenobarbital, primidone, or phenothiazines for long-term anticonvulsant therapy develop low serum and erythrocyte folate levels and occasionally megaloblastic anemia, probably because hepatic microsomal drug metabolism enzymes are affected. Folic acid supplements may interfere with the action of anticonvulsant drugs, but yeast tablet supplements seem to raise the folate levels without the effect. Anticonvulsants induce vitamin D deficiency is well recognized. Vitamin B12 malabsorption has been reported with aminosalic acid, slow release potassium iodide, colchicine, trifluoperazines, ethanol, and oral contraceptives. Depression may occur in women taking oral contraceptives, usually with a high progesterone content. The mechanism is thought to be induction of tryptophan pyrrolase, which results in the diversion of peroxidine for niacin synthesis at the expense of the 5-hydroxytryptamine neurotransmitter for formation. Such patients usually respond to peroxidine 25 milligrams. Nutrient metabolism may be affected by other nutrients. For example, non-heme iron absorption is either impaired or facilitated by a number of dietary substances. You can see more where it says anemias. And then we go on to the last before chapter 2, and that's food additives and contaminants, right? And I know it's a long one, but it's that part 2 of nutrition. And look, we're only on, we're not even through nutrition, right? It's such a big behavior, which is so important. It's like, how can exercise be even, but it's the exercise that has to come first, the mobility that has to come first prior to the nutrition, right? The addition of chemicals to foodstuffs to facilitate their processing and preservation to enhance their analeptic properties and to control natural contaminants is stringently regulated. Only food additives that have been passed as safe at specific action levels after exacting laboratory testing are permitted. Reported health problems susceptible to be caused by food additives have been trivial and largely anecdotal. Long-term adverse effects are approved additives and contaminants of health have not been established. The benefits of additives include reducing waste and providing the public with a greater variety of attractive foods than would otherwise be possible, must be weighed against the known risk. The issues involved are frequently complex. The use of nitrate in cured meats is an example. Nitrate inhibits the growth of the Clostridium botulinum and imparts a desired flavor. However, there is evidence that nitrate is converted in the body to nitrosamines, which are known to carcinogens in animals. On the other hand, the amount of nitrate added to cured meat is small compared with the amount from naturally occurring food nitrates converted to nitrate by the salivary glands. In addition, dietary vitamin C can reduce nitrate formation in the GI tract. The report of food hypersensitivity or allergies in a few susceptible persons associated with some additives, especially color agents, is a concern. However, most of these reactions are caused by ordinary food. You can meet more in the food allergy, chapter 148. The levels of poisonous or deleterious contaminants, such as pesticide residues, are also stringently regulated. Contaminants from certain foodstuffs cannot be completely eliminated without damaging the foodstuff. Levels considered safe by the FDA or tolerance levels have been established for a variety of foodstuffs. For example, the residual tolerance level of aflatoxin, or a fungal product that is found mainly in peanuts, especially as not fresh, and that is known liver carcinogen in animals, is 20 parts per billion for peanuts and peanut products, but only zero point 0.5 parts per billion for milk. The tolerance levels is zero point 0.5 parts per billion for lead in evaporated milk and 1 part per million for mercury in fish, oysters, clams, mussels, and wheat. In general, these levels have not caused illness or adverse effects in humans. And then it goes on to malnutrition. And then what goes on to malnutrition? And so this is what will be the expanded series. And this is why I had to do it here, just so you could basically do, both sides, the podcast there and the podcast there, and then the videos there. But the videos there, but it's all there. Siri, she's just chiming in, doing what she's not supposed to do, listen in. Anyways, this is it. All done here. The Merck manual, right? You can get an updated one. This is the 17th edition. Tabler Cyclopedia Medical Dictionary. This is it. And it's all part of the Vitality series. Please go to BeyondOurComprehension.com. That's www.BeyondOurComprehension.com. There, I said it. I did the thing. It's not paid. It's just a site. But you can go there, and if you want to see the prequel to this, which is all the funny and a lot of the food stuff and the individual product stuff that is just tailored to my diet, coming and figuring out, then you can. Thanks again. Once again, please like, subscribe, make sure you comment down below, and make sure you email us at the show at Clem, that's clem.cc.boc@gmail.com. That's clem.cc.boc@gmail.com, especially if you want to talk about some of your stories of malnutrition or diseases, or even say, hey, where do I get my copy of the Merck Manual and Tabler Cyclopedia? Once again, BeyondOurComprehension.com. Please go check out Norica on camera and all the funny videos that she has, and see all her TikTok on Norica Clem. Follow us on Twitter at BeyondOurComp. That's again, it's BeyondOurComp on Twitter. We love you. Stay blessed.